What's up, Amplified Unit? I want to start off with a comment from yesterday's video, if you don't mind. It's a good comment because it's a topic I want to discuss for a while now. I don't think people are understanding what the WWE is, what it's all about, what it should be anyway, what it was back in the day, and what made us love it. This comment is from Candy Shields. Again, it was on yesterday's video. And again, thank you, Candy. Nothing but respect, as you shown me in the comment yesterday. But I want to discuss, elaborate. Candy writes, BC, you do not like wrestlers who are not 7 feet tall and 250 pounds. But most of the best wrestlers are the so-called smaller guys. Yes, we need a few big guys in the mix. But if all or even most of the roster were huge dudes, I'm sorry, but the match caliber would suffer. Just my opinion. Thank you, Candy. But now I need to blow that up a bit. And I'll do it bit by bit. BC, you don't like wrestlers who are not 7 feet tall, 250 pounds. Well, we both know that's not true, but I know what you're getting at. But you know I'm a big fan of Daniel Bryan. Love Daniel Bryan. Love AJ Styles. I'm a fan of Ricochet, believe it or not. So, they don't all have to be 7 feet tall, 250 pounds, but I know where you're getting when you say that, where you're going toward. And as far as most of the best wrestlers are the so-called smaller guys, but to who, Candy? To who are those the best wrestlers? Maybe to you. A big portion of today's fan base, glorified gymnastics, is the best wrestling today. Those are the best wrestlers. But that's never what WWE was based on. WWE was always about larger-than-life individuals, larger-than-life characters, putting on storylines and feuds that we cared about, that we were invested and captivated by. And the wrestling matches had a lot of psychology, a lot of selling, because you were believing in what was happening. You don't see that anymore. I'll give you some examples. When I think of some of the best matches from back in the day, 30 plus years I've been watching this company, the best matches to me, that stand out anyway, are The Rock versus Hulk Hogan, WrestleMania 18. That wasn't a 5-star move-for-move classic, so why is that one of my favorite matches ever? Well, you go back and you watch and listen to that atmosphere. You watch their mannerisms, expressions, their movesets, their selling, their psychology. The Rock and Hogan is up there at the top. The Undertaker versus Mick Foley, Hell in a Cell. Not exactly what you would call a Meltzer 5-star classic, but it's one of the matches I remember the most and that I've seen 100 times because I want to go back and watch it. Shawn Michaels Undertaker, WrestleMania 25. Shawn Michaels isn't the biggest dude, but that was not a pillar-to-post glorified gymnastics match, especially not with The Undertaker. WrestleMania 25 was a psychological thriller that I've watched over 100 times. Those are the matches that stand out to me the most. Shit, The Ultimate Warrior probably would be rated one of the worst wrestlers of all time, right? But one of my favorite matches of all time was Warrior Hogan WrestleMania 6 or Sergeant Slaughter Hogan WrestleMania 7. I can't tell you some of my favorite matches at the top of my list are ever going to involve Finn Balor or Ricochet. I can't do that. I can tell you they were damn good and Ricochet was going ballistic in that match and Finn Balor was on fire. I can tell you those things. I can tell you some great NXT matches that they've had and some great WWE matches that they will have. But when I think the top of the list, when I think of wrestling that I want to see, it's shit like Hogan Rock. It's shit like Mankind Undertaker. It's shit like Undertaker Shawn Michaels. That's what I remember. That's what the WWE is. It's also that entertainment. I know you don't like the word, a lot of you. I know that's a cringe word. I know you just want these days the ping pong ball bouncing from every pillar to post. And if you're not somebody that can move around like a Ricochet, or you can't move around like a Mustafa, then that's just bad wrestling. The truth is, I can see great wrestling matches down the street at the local bingo hall. I can see Billy Buttfuck McGee and Danny Dugenheimer, Danny Dipshit Dugenheimer, down the street, put on a 5-star classic. Is that something I'm going to go back and watch 100 times? Is that something that's really going to captivate me? No. But it's in the eye of the beholder. That could just be the amplified man and old school veteran fans that some would say can't get with the times. But I feel I adjusted to the times just fine, and I stand firm in my belief that a lot of these littler guys are not bringing the personality, the larger-than-life character flavor that we need in this business. And sure, I'm going to blame Vince and his creative or uncreative writing staff. I'm going to blame Vince and his entire company for not booking properly, not getting creative enough, not giving superstars the time of day. I'm going to blame them for all of that. But I'm also going to place the blame on characters not being larger than life. I'm going to place the blame where it should be. Superstars are not captivating us. So it ain't shade to guys like Mustafa Ali. My concern is that what is that going to do for the business? So let me just play devil's advocate. You guys get what you want, a lot of you. Mustafa Ali goes to WrestleMania. He captures the championship. Or maybe SummerSlam. He captures the championship. What is it doing for the business? Are you captivated by Mustafa Ali? Every time he goes out there, he's going to ooh you and ah you. We said that about AJ Styles and it got stale, didn't it? You said that about Finn Balor and it got stale, didn't it? I can go on and on. It gets stale because they're one-dimensional. They're pillar-to-post glorified gymnasts. I understand that can be ooh-ah moments. That can be fun. But where is that personality that is jumping off the screen? When you take your kids to go get an autograph and your kids are almost the size of these superstars, it does take away that larger-than-life feel. It just does. You can have your place for Rey Mysterios and as such. You go to a Rey Mysterio autograph session, everybody's taller than Rey. But some guys can just get away with it. But if you start having 75% of your roster the same size as every Joe Schmo who's getting the autograph or the photo, it takes away from the larger-than-life aspect. I know. When I was a kid, some of the highlights for me going and getting autographs was staring up at what seemed like a 37-foot oak tree in Kevin Nash. Even Shawn Michaels, who was never the biggest dude, looked like a fucking oak tree when you went and got his autograph. Razor Ramon was a giant back in the day to a kid. And now you're seeing Mustafa Ali, who maybe has 4 inches on your kid. Size does matter, just like in anything in life. Just ask any lady. But in all seriousness, size does matter, guys. It's adorable that they can bounce around like a gymnast. That's great. But we need psychology, we need selling, and we need those promos and storylines. Vince and his creative dumbasses are not getting off the hook easy here. But we need everything to be packaged correctly. If you're just going to throw me a whole organization of Ricochets and Mustafa Ali's and Buddy Murphy's, then guys, I don't know if I can sit here and say I'm ever going to be captivated by the WWE ever again. There's places for that. You could see that maybe over in ROH still, maybe in fucking New Japan Pro Wrestling still. There's no maybes. You can see a lot of that still there. AEW will be bringing some of that, but the WWE has always been about the entire entertainment package. If you're that upset about the entertainment word, or guys like Braun Strowman, or guys like Drew McIntyre and such, then maybe this isn't the product for you. If you always just bitch, just to bitch and moan, then maybe it's not the product for you. When I bitch and moan, it's to get shit accomplished, get shit done, try to help create change to make the company better. But to say that bigger dudes would just not be good caliber matches, then you didn't do your research and see what WWE was founded upon. Yes, we should all change with the times, but that does not mean the formula needs to change. If you're gonna give me all these small dudes, they better have personalities and characters that jump off the screen. If you're telling me Mustafa does, you're bullshitting yourself. Even Ricochet on the microphone, character-wise, he's not jumping off the screen. The guy can do shit I've never seen before, and that's why I'm a fan. That doesn't mean I'm giving him heavyweight world championships. Mustafa's been on this main roster for what, 6 months? One of those he's been injured. The last 2 months he's been on a losing streak television-wise, and people are already anointing him the next champion. Candy Shields, if you don't see a problem with that, then that's the big issue with today's wrestling fan. Now, let's start Monday Night Raw's review and reaction. So last night, we kicked off the final 4 Raws before WrestleMania. Believe it or not, man, does time fly, man. WrestleMania season, once it starts to kick into high gear, it moves fast, man, just like in anything in life. Because it's hard to believe there's only 3 Raws left. That's insane to think about. But they kicked it off last night. This is the post-Fastlane show. And really, when you want to start kicking WrestleMania into high gear, the picture for WrestleMania did get a lot clearer when Raw went off the air last night. And I'll explain as I go through the night. I want to start right at the top of the program when the Shield came out through the crowd. So even though Fastlane, we said this was the last time ever, no, they're back. They were promoting this as a final farewell goodbye address. But it was really only Roman Reigns on the microphone. And Roman Reigns was talking about, if this is the last time, I have no regrets. So he's still kind of tying it with his personal life and with his personal battle. So in a way, it actually did go. But he was the only one that really did any talking for the Shield. He then gave the microphone to Seth Rollins, and Roman and Dean Ambrose headed up the rampway. Rollins was left in the ring, about to cut a promo on Brock Lesnar, when Paul Heyman interrupts. Paul Heyman is now up at the rampway. Paul Heyman brought up an interesting point through his entire monologue, which you know Paul Heyman could go many pages of monologue. Probably right off the top of his head. I doubt he has pages to remember. That's how good he is. But Paul Heyman brought up some real good facts about Brock Lesnar. And Paul Heyman said that when Lesnar was supposed to fight Jinder Mahal, instead he got AJ Styles. And when he was supposed to get AJ Styles, he instead got Daniel Bryan. And when he was supposed to get Braun Strowman, he got Finn Balor. So every time he's announced for a match, a few days beforehand, they're giving him somebody new. It's like Vince doesn't trust the match that's about to happen, or that it's maybe big enough on the marquee, or he wants to see something different out of Brock. I don't know. But days before, every single time Brock has a match, Vince changes it on him. So Paul Heyman was trying to tell Seth Rollins, sure, Finn Balor took him to the max. Sure, AJ Styles and Daniel Bryan took Brock to the max. But here's why. He wasn't ready for them. And Seth Rollins just shrugging his shoulders and kind of smirking. This is irritating Paul Heyman. So Paul Heyman, getting more and more irritated, says, well, I don't know if what he said really, but what he conjured up was more devastating, at first anyway, than anything he could say. He had Shelton Benjamin come up from behind Seth Rollins while Paul Heyman was getting irritated with Seth. And Seth is now staring straight at Paul Heyman up the rampway. Shelton Benjamin, from SmackDown, mind you, comes out of nowhere and starts giving several Suplex City bitches to Seth Rollins. Seth Rollins is down and out. Shelton Benjamin leaves the ring. We cut to commercial. When we come back from commercial, there is an impromptu match between Seth Rollins and Shelton Benjamin. Here's the thing, guys. I understand that Benjamin and Lesnar have a strong connection. Right? They have a thing together from back in the day. Benjamin and Lesnar go way back. I understand that. Here's what I have a problem with. That kind of carelessness, as it pertains to taking the brand split seriously, is unacceptable. Either there's a brand split or there's not. So, Heyman is on commentary during this match between Rollins and Shelton Benjamin, and he's alluding to the fact that Benjamin was paid off, right? Which is what we're all thinking anyway, because if you're a fan that isn't the regular sheep and we forget what Vince feeds us every week, if you're a fan that actually remembers what happened a year ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 20 years ago and beyond, if you're that type of fan, then you know Shelton Benjamin and Lesnar have history. But to hear Paul Heyman kind of elude that he paid it off, I understand that type of story that they're trying to tell. It still does not explain how Shelton Benjamin was able to join the Raw roster, if even for one night. Because it is those type of logic gaps that are just unacceptable to the Amplified man, unacceptable to the Amplified unit. And if you're a professional wrestling fan or you consider yourself one, that type of logic gap should be unacceptable to you as well. Everybody is just showing up wherever they want. Vince is just bringing out Charlotte Flair for a Raw title match when she's on SmackDown. Vince McMahon is just letting Shelton Benjamin have an actual match on Monday Night Raw. It's one thing if you just attack Seth Rollins, but it's an actual impromptu match with a referee, a Raw referee. I mean, if these things you are just willing to let slide, you guys know, golf clap for you, man. You can just sit back and enjoy what you're watching. I cannot let that carelessness in logic, that lack of common sense, I cannot let that slide. And I can't even tell you the match was captivating. You would think on paper, Shelton Benjamin versus Seth Rollins, take my money, but it's not. Shelton Benjamin is nowhere near what he used to be. Sometimes you see glimpses of that in his matches, but nowhere near. Seth Rollins is still nursing his nagging injuries, so I'm sure he's not going full throttle, and we saw that last night, so it was an match. And in the end, it was really all for nothing anyway, because Shelton Benjamin received a stomp and a 1-2-3 for his efforts. Listen, I know creative is kind of bound here. You have a guy with the title who never shows up to work. You have Brock Lesnar with that universal strap, so how do you tell the story? Poor Seth Rollins is having to do things with the Shield. That was probably the best thing for Seth Rollins. Shelton Benjamin, they had to tap into Brock Lesnar's past and who he used to associate with and wrestle with, collegiate-wise, you know, what some would call the real wrestling. They had to go back into that. Even if the story didn't make sense, they were so desperate to give Seth some type of connection storyline-wise with Brock Lesnar, they had to tap into Shelton Benjamin. It was just so oddly done. It was really awkward to me. It just came out of nowhere, and it never really told the story correctly. Or maybe that was how they wanted to tell the story, which is even more tragic and criminal to think about. I don't even know, guys. But that was the first couple of segments, man. It all was kind of revolving, I guess, around Seth Rollins and Brock Lesnar. But again, when you got a guy who has the title, who doesn't show up to work, how much of the story is really captivating? But I will say this. At this point, I'd rather see Seth Rollins and Brock Lesnar in the main event of WrestleMania over Ronda, Charlotte, and Becky, the way they've been telling that story. So that shows you how tragic that storyline has been. You got a guy who never shows up to work, and I'd rather that be in the main event. We then go to Finn Balor. This is an Intercontinental title match that we've seen 100 times, so I surely don't give a shit about that either. Seth Rollins is going up the rampway, leaving from his match. Finn Balor is just coming up. They have a little bit of a stare down, and then they smile because it's pop collar, smiley Finn Balor. He doesn't want to be the demon anymore because he wants to be whitey-tighty, pop collar, smiley Finn. We'll see where that's getting him, right? By the end of this match with Bobby Lashley, he's losing his Intercontinental Championship. Slight, and I mean slight interference by Lio Rush, but Lio didn't really do anything to Finn Balor, so this was just a clean, to me, 1-2-3 loss to Finn Balor by Bobby Lashley. Bobby Lashley is your new Intercontinental title holder. There's a little bit of hot potato going on, but I see where Vince is going here. Vince always likes to have the majority of his champions heel going into WrestleMania. That's why you're seeing a lot of these title changes up front. That's why you saw Samoa Joe last week win the championship, the US strap. That's why you saw Bobby Lashley last night win the IC strap. in odd fashion, just in the middle of their shows. It's because Vince wants the heels all with the championships. And I think he accomplished it so far. All of the champions, except for I believe one, are heels. You have the Universal Champion, Brock Lesnar, heel. You have the Heavyweight Championship, WWE, Daniel Bryan, heel. Intercontinental, Bobby Lashley, heel. United States, Samoa Joe, heel. Raw Tag Title holders, Revival, heel. Usos can kind of play 50-50, but they've obviously been in the heel role the past couple of months, especially. So Usos you could put in that category for the SmackDown title straps. That's 6. Who am I missing? The 7th, Raw Women's Champion, Ronda Rousey, obviously, heel. So I believe it's just Asuka who is left. She's the SmackDown Women's Champion. I don't feel that she's going to lose her strap before Mania, and I don't think she's turning heel before Mania. So that looks to be the only champion heading into WrestleMania who will be a face. So I saw where Vince was going with that last week with Samoa Joe. I'm not saying I'm on board with it, but that's how Vince likes to run WrestleMania. And I especially, that was confirmed when Bobby Lashley won the title last night. It doesn't matter to me. I've seen that match 100 times. I don't need to see it. That's one of the times I'm glad there's no rematch clause. But then again, these guys fight all the time anyway. So it's not only going to be a rematch. We're going to see this rematch 100 more times in the future, I'm sure. I don't need to see it ever again, though. Bobby Lashley is your new IC strap holder. And that was your first hour of Raw. Take it or leave it. I can leave it. Heading into the second hour, things started to pick up. Ronda Rousey comes out for a promo. This was a great promo by Ronda Rousey. One of her probably her best. It's still kind of rushed. She's speeding through the lines that she's throwing out there, but she's much more clearer. I understood every word. There was no mumbling. She's pacing back and forth like she really is pissed off now. And she was talking about, she came right out first and foremost and talked about, what was the line, guys? You think I care what you bitches think? And she meant the crowd. I think this is the first time in 30 plus years I've ever heard a wrestler call the fans bitches in the middle of the ring. Correct me if I'm wrong, guys. If you've ever seen a WWE promo where a wrestler called the fans bitches, let me know, please. Because I think this was the first time ever. Ronda looked into the crowd and said, you think I care what you bitches think of me? Or you think I care if you bitches boo me? Something like that, man. I was blown away. You just called the fans bitches. And then she went on to say, I'd be embarrassed if I even broke a sweat with these bitches in the ring at the same time, meaning Charlotte and Becky Lynch. So she's saying, if I even break a sweat at WrestleMania in that triple threat, I'm embarrassed by myself. So she went out, man. She was hammering on all cylinders. I thought it was dynamite, man. And then you had Dana Brooke come out. And I'm like, what the hell is this? Dana slimmed down a lot. Not that I minded Thicky Bella Dana Brooke. I don't mind Thicky Bella Dana Brooke at all. But she slimmed down. That's fine. She's really working her ass off, guys, to get better and better. And even though a lot of people might want to use Dana Brooke's name as a punchline, I commend and I respect hard work. And even though you might not be the best wrestler of all time or one of the best of all time, if you keep improving every day, you got the Amplified Man's respect. That was the problem I had with Tamina. Tamina spent all that time on the main roster. You didn't see her for so long. She comes back and her skill level looked like it diminished more than anything. I don't respect laziness. At least Dana Brooke I can respect. And she came out with a heartfelt message, man. And I loved it, dude. She goes out and she says, I bust my ass week after week and nobody gives me the time of day. That's my line. You guys know I love saying that. Vince never gives his wrestlers the time of day. Dana Brooke says, I bust my ass week after week and nobody gives me the time of day. My name is Dana Brooke. And she's in Ronda Rousey's face at this point. My name is Dana Brooke. And I just want a chance. Just a chance. And it was so heartfelt and you believed it because that's Dana Brooke being real. And as much as I loved it because that is Dana Brooke being real, I'm thinking to myself, oh man, now what? We're going to have a 10-minute match with Dana and Ronda? That's not realistic. Realistically, Ronda Rousey would probably kill Dana Brooke right now. And this is where WWE did something shocking. They did something realistically. So it worked. I loved it. As soon as Dana Brooke was done with that heartfelt message, Ronda Rousey just annihilated her. Beat the... I mean, guys, she was dragging her like a rag doll. At one point, I thought she ripped Dana Brooke's arm out of her socket. And then Ronda Rousey goes to do an armbar, looks at the crowd in disgust, and says, "No, you don't deserve an armbar." She said, "Pay your $50 and maybe you'll get an armbar at the pay-per-view." If that is not one of the best heel lines I've ever heard, that was amazing. You don't deserve an armbar. Pay your $50. That's the Ronda Rousey of UFC that people couldn't stand, but I loved because it was a character that was larger than life. It was a showman, if you will. That was an entertainer who could back it up. Ronda Rousey is now entertaining. She's no longer giving the hoorah speeches and the go for your dream speeches and giving arm bars so people cheer for her. She's embracing the heel role, and I love it. And again, the Dana Brooke promo came off great because I believe it, because those are Dana Brooke's true words. And again, it's good to see her busting her ass day after day and not resting on laziness, but trying to get better every day. And people can use her name as a punchline all they want. That's fine. But it's like Rudy. You ever see the movie Rudy? Everybody picked on him and said he was horrible at football and he'll never play a game in his life. He'll never even play a snap. And you see the end of the movie when he finally gets to play a play and he actually gets the sack. He was actually pretty damn decent if you gave him a chance. You know? I'm not comparing it to BC. Are you comparing Dana Brooke to Rudy? Relax. I'm saying it reminds me of that. You know, Dana Brooke just wants that chance. But in real life, Ronda would fucking kill. So it was really cool to see that heartfelt promo from Dana. And then it's just all for nothing because Ronda just annihilates her. I just felt there was so much going on in that segment. I loved it. I absolutely loved it. Then we go into a tag match. Aleister Black and Ricochet still together. I have no idea what this is doing for either of them. At this point, I feel it's only damaging them. But maybe Vince wants to still just get the WWE Universe, the casual fans, adjusted to who they are. I just could have thought of a million better ways to do such. Aleister Black and Ricochet defeat Gable and Rude. So Gable and Rude have fell off the stratosphere, fell off the radar, fell off the map. I feel bad for Gable and Rude. I feel bad for Gable from day one because they just stick this kid with tag team partners his whole career. If it's not Jason Jordan, it's Shelton Benjamin. If it's not Jordan and Benjamin, it's Bobby Roode. Who knows who it's going to be next? Titus O'Neil, maybe. But Gable is stuck with Rude, and now they're just on a losing streak from hell. I don't see any way to recover from this. Aleister Black and Ricochet defeat Gable and Rude. Black Mass to Rude for the pin. By Aleister Black. That was the finish. Revival ends up jumping Aleister Black and Ricochet up at the top of the ramp afterwards. I like this because it's finally, we're seeing the Revival in a different aspect. We're always seeing them just in the ring, usually in useless matches. Even though they can wrestle, it's usually all for naught. But to see them actually do something outside of the ring and attack somebody up at the staging area, it lets us see the Revival in a different way, a different aspect. And even though that might go into the subconscious, that goes a long way in the end. So that was actually good to see. Next up, Alexa Bliss is announcing she'll be hosting WrestleMania. Corey Graves at this point is having an orgasm of epic proportions. I wasn't expecting a big name. I was expecting Alexa to say Alexa because in all honesty, guys, I don't need a host. A host doesn't do anything. We saw it with The New Day. We've seen it with Hulk Hogan in the past. I don't want a host. It's bad enough we're getting Colin Jost and Michael Che from Saturday Nights Live at WrestleMania. I don't need a dumbass host. So if it's Alexa Bliss, I'm fine with that. On top of that, Alexa Bliss, she up there looking like a snack last night. Wow. Man, she was sitting down. I missed, like, the entrance for the moment of bliss. So when I finally, like, got a chance to sit down and look up at the screen, all I saw was just Alexa Bliss's leg. And it, I mean, I'm like, fuck, she's sexy, man. Fucking A. Damn. But, she does the moment of bliss and she announces herself as, and Corey Graves is just making the segment. He's having an orgasm over there. You got Renee Young trying to calm him down. It was great. Braun Strowman next up. Speaking of Colin Jost, he receives a gift from Colin Jost and the entire cast of Saturday Night Live. It is a brand new car. It looked beautiful to me, but Braun Strowman was pissed off because they didn't wash it, I guess, I think he said. And he also said, it's too small, it doesn't even fit me. So he starts destroying this car, guys. Rips the door off, takes off the hood, smashes the bumper, it annihilates it, even puts his fist through the windshield. And I think he tells the guy who told him that he had a car outside, he tells him to send the message to Colin Jost and Michael Che, I'll see you at WrestleMania. So, Braun Strowman's big WrestleMania moment, big WrestleMania match, big WrestleMania storyline is with Saturday Night Live's Newsweek twosome. So, I think Vince McMahon looks at Braun Strowman as like a WrestleMania joke, right? Kind of like what Kane used to do. When Kane used to tombstone Pete Rose every year. Braun Strowman is just going to be kind of like a joke every WrestleMania. Like the WrestleMania where he won tag titles with a 10-year-old kid, Nicholas, who was a referee's son. And now this is going to be Braun Strowman in a segment with Colin Jost and Michael Che. I don't know what this does, nor do I care. But we'll be hanging on the edge of our seat to see what Braun Strowman and Saturday Night Live does at WrestleMania. Next up, Elias is interrupted by No Way Jose, and this was the Elias I've been waiting to see. He doesn't even wait for the full interruption, he just annihilates No Way Jose, this new vicious streak of Elias, and I loved it. This is the Elias we need to start seeing, man, and it needs to culminate in pay-per-view victories. Keep up that momentum. It was damn good to see. Harlem Heat is then announced for the Hall of Fame, and you guys know, that is traditional tag team work to me. When I think great tag teams from back in the day, I think of Legion of Doom, the Road Warriors. I think of the Demolition. I think of the Rockers. I think of Harlem Heat. Stevie Ray, Booker T. A lot of you guys might just know Booker T as an individual wrestler if you're a newer fan in the past 5-10 years. But no, he was in a dynamite tag team called Harlem Heat. I think they won the WCW tag titles like 10 times. But they were just amazing in that ring, guys. And again, personalities that jumped off the screen. It is so good to see them getting their rightful place into the Hall of Fame. I believe this makes Booker T a 2-time Hall of Famer, so he joins that club. That was good to see. Lacey Evans then makes an appearance, comes out, waves, shakes her sizzle tits, and then walks over to Renee Young, throws some shade, literally at Renee Young, and then goes back to the back. That would be the only way I'm captivated by a Lacey Evans debut match, if it's against Renee Young. Maybe I'll spend a few bucks for that. What do we got, guys? Next up, we had Natalya and Tamina. I'm sorry. Yeah, I think it was Natalya versus Tamina, or maybe it was Natalya versus Nia. It doesn't really matter. This match never got off the ground because Beth Phoenix jumps in the ring. That's right. Great to see Beth Phoenix jump in the ring and takes everybody out, excluding her best friend Natalya, obviously, but took Tamina out, took Nia Jax out. Beth Phoenix got retribution for what they did to her and Natalya the night before at Fastlane. Great to see Beth Phoenix in action. It just is. There's no other way around it. And when you talk Vicky Bellas, you're talking Beth Phoenix and Natalya. When you're talking snacks, when you're talking beautiful women, you guys know the Amplified Man loves those Thicky Bellas. When you're talking just sexy, man, you're talking Beth Phoenix and Natalya. BC, what does that have to do with wrestling, man? It has everything to do. They're fucking beautiful. Backstage, we'll get back to the wrestling angle now that we talked about how great Beth Phoenix is looking. Backstage, Sasha Banks and Bayley jump Nia Jax and Tamina backstage. So, I can't say I'm excited. It's good to see Sasha Banks at least on the show as a huge Sasha Banks fan, but here's the problem. Are we actually prolonging a Sasha Bayley Tamina Nia feud? Is that really what we're doing? Please, I do not need to see that again for the 116th time. The Iconics have been strongly saying that they're going after Sasha and Bayley as well. I don't know if this means this is going to be like a fatal 5-way match for the women's championships. Do you see the Iconics from SmackDown? Nia and Tamina and Beth Phoenix and Natalya from Raw. Sasha, Bayley, obviously the title holders, and maybe an NXT team? That's what I mean about schmaz matches, guys. Too many schmaz matches and it becomes a train wreck. But I don't know. First you think you're getting Tamina and Nia versus Natalya and Beth Phoenix at WrestleMania. And now it looks like Sasha and Bayley and Nia and Tamina are not finished yet. Where are we going with this? This looks to be like a giant schmaz match. Triple H then hits the ring. No suit and tie, leather jacket, mean mugging, meaning business. This was good to see. Batista then follows suit, and Michael Cole won't shut the fuck up so I can listen, hear Batista's badass entrance theme. I love that. I walk alone. I love that shit, man. Anybody who goes to the gym will tell you, if you got Batista's music in your earpieces, then you're going to have a good set or two. That song alone can get me through a good rotation or two, man. But I couldn't hear it because Michael Cole wouldn't shut the fuck up. Batista comes out with 100 security guards, it seems. Just a bunch of, obviously, independent wrestlers from around. Now, this is where, well, first I'll give you what Batista's asking Hunter. Give me what I want. Give me what I want, Hunter. He just keeps repeating it like a madman, a psycho. I loved it. And Triple H responds, I'm not giving you a damn thing, Dave. How many times have you quit this company because you didn't get what you wanted? And I love this. Triple H looks at all the security and he says, what is this? Your Guardians of the Independent scene? This was a legit LOL moment, guys. We always like to type LOL, right, in our text messages and in our comments. But that was a legit LOL moment for the Amplified Man. Legit. Bursted out in laughter. That was awesome. You know, those independent wrestlers that were playing security guards last night, you know they call their mama and their dad or their significant other, and they're like, I'm going to be on TV tonight on Raw. And Triple H is just calling them the Guardians of the Independent scene. That was great. Come on. If you didn't laugh at that, check the old pulse. In the end, the match was set for WrestleMania. Triple H gave Batista what he wanted, and he said, it's not on your terms, Dave, like you claimed it was. It's on mine. This will be no holds barred at WrestleMania, Batista and Triple H. I love it. And again, the Becky Lynch, Charlotte, and Ronda Rousey feud has been booked so poorly. I'd rather see that match in the main event. But it's really good to see Batista back on WWE television, even if this is the indeed last run. Even if Mania is the last stop for Batista. It's good that we at least get that. Roman Reigns versus Baron Corbin is scheduled up next as the main event, but it was real early in the night. We're still early in that third hour, so I'm like, something's got to happen, right? Sure enough, it did. That match never actually happened. Corbin versus Roman. Instead, Drew McIntyre jumps Roman Reigns to set up their WrestleMania 35 feud. So you are going to get Roman Reigns versus Drew McIntyre. It's not made official yet, I don't believe, but that is exactly, I can 100% confirm where they're going with Roman Reigns and Drew McIntyre. McIntyre absolutely annihilates Roman Reigns. Seth Rollins' medical staff is attending to Roman afterwards, and I love this. They're really playing off that this guy just came back from that battle. He's nowhere near 100%, and now that just happened to him? So Roman really looked dazed and confused. Not to be confused with my favorite movie, Dazed and Confused, but Roman looked as such. They take him back to the medical room. Dean Ambrose is real distraught at this point. He's pissed off. He goes up to Triple H, who is still pissed off in his own right, thanks to Batista, and Dean Ambrose demands a match later in the night, or actually coming up, because the main event was next, demands a match with Drew McIntyre, and he wants it Falls Count Anywhere. Triple H is in a mood himself, so he's like, you got it. I'll go tell Drew. And our main event is set. A lot of people were upset because it was going to be Roman and Corbin. Don't worry, we actually got a damn solid main event. Falls Count Anywhere. Dean Ambrose, Drew McIntyre, they fought everywhere in the building. All around the crowd, into the concession stands, back into the ring, around the ring, up at the rampway, up at the commentator's booth, everywhere, guys. Again, really good, solid main event. Ambrose took a beating. There's no other way to put it. Just a beating. McIntyre looked like a beast. And even though they're going to protect Roman Reigns, which they should do, especially at this stage just coming back, but even though they're going to protect Roman Reigns, I really hope they don't waste this fresh push and newfound momentum for Drew McIntyre. This is the best we've seen Drew, and we've seen them 50-50 book people like Braun Strowman before, where Braun has never capitalized. He's never been able to regain that momentum that he once had. If they screw this up with Drew, I'm afraid that that could be it for Drew McIntyre in the WWE as far as becoming larger than life or something that's a real special aspect to the roster. This could be his last chance. This cannot be just Drew showing up to Mania and losing the match to Roman. If he does lose that match, it has to be something epic and special planned where Drew looks like a beast. Because this was really good to see, man. What he did to Dean Ambrose last night at the rampway to end Monday Night Raw, that was just a beating, man. Those Claymore kicks looked like they took Dean Ambrose's head square off his shoulders. Drew McIntyre looked like a monster last night. And that was really good to see. And that's how Raw went off the air, guys. So, it was a little bit of everything. It's a mixed bag on Monday Night Raw last night. I'm not going to sit here and trash the show. Not by a long shot, man. They kept it in a flow where I was actually entertained, believe it or not. That first hour, take it or leave it, I'll leave it. But then I started getting entertainment. Ronda Rousey really entertained me. Dana Brooke coming out with that heartfelt message and then just getting annihilated. Seeing Drew McIntyre doing what he did to Roman and Dean Ambrose and looking finally like a star. That was obviously dynamite. Hearing that Harlem Heat is going into the Hall of Fame, man, really good to see. Seeing Elias finally be a beast and fed up with being interrupted. That was good to see. Kurt Angle, I forgot to say, guys. Kurt Angle actually announced that his WrestleMania match, which we don't even know what it is, do we? But that is going to be his final match ever. And he announced it in his hometown of Pittsburgh. It's bittersweet. We all know that this is what needs to happen because Kurt Angle, he can't really go move for move anymore, and that's sad to see. But it's good to see him at least still in the ring going and giving it an attaboy. But we all know that this needs to happen. It's just bittersweet because he is one of the icons, the legends in this business. And it's always sad to see that go away. So, he had an impromptu match last night with Apollo. He defeated Apollo, obviously. A nice show of respect afterwards. Pittsburgh was really giving it up for their hometown boy, Kurt Angle. And at Mania, it'll be the last time we see him competing in a WWE ring. So, that was Mania, guys. We'll go on to SmackDown tonight. They'll put on their show. We'll talk about it tomorrow morning, obviously. And then it's just 3 weeks left before WrestleMania. You talk about a fast lane. It's going faster than ever, man. But the card for WrestleMania is finally starting to shape out. Before I give it any praise or destroy it, I'm going to let it play out tonight on SmackDown. And then we can really start to dissect this card match for match. But I want to let SmackDown have their chance tonight before I really jump into dissecting the WrestleMania card. So we'll let them have their chance tonight, guys. For now, I'm the Amplified Man. You know the routine. Holla at your boy. Peace, cause he's out. I'll talk to you guys tomorrow for the SmackDown review and reaction. Holla at your boy. Check you.